Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so if you're a new employee navigating the workforce, there is one specific, often overlooked document that holds the absolute key to your financial security during tough times, and that's the Record of Employment, or ROE. For most of us, payroll kind of feels like magic, right? Money simply appears in our bank accounts every 2 weeks. But the second that magic stops, you suddenly enter this massive, complex, bureaucratic system. So let's dive into why this single piece of paper is literally your ultimate safety net and how understanding it can save you months of financial stress. Let's kick things off with a crucial, real-world question. Imagine your regular paychecks suddenly stop tomorrow. Whether it's an unexpected layoff out of nowhere, a sudden illness that sidelines you, or even if you're taking a joyful leave to care for a new child, how do you actually unlock your employment insurance benefits to keep the lights on and pay your rent? It can be a huge source of anxiety. You've been paying into the system with every single paycheck, but how do you get that money back when you need it most? Well, it all comes back to this one vital document. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at your most important payroll form. Then, what actually triggers an ROE? After that, we'll decode those insurable earnings. And finally, viewing your ROE online. Let's get right into it. All right, Section 1, your most important payroll form. So you're looking at the standard paper ROE form right now. Now, to Service Canada, this isn't just boring HR paperwork. Think of it as your financial passport. It's your entire employment history distilled down into highly specific boxes. The government relies entirely on these specific fields to determine if you actually qualify for benefits, to calculate your exact benefit rate, and to decide exactly how many weeks of support you're going to receive. If just a single box is missing or incorrect, it can completely delay your safety net. It is, without a doubt, the single most important document in the entire employment insurance program. It's the definitive bridge between your working life and your benefits. And this brings us to an absolutely fundamental employee right. An ROE must be issued even if you have zero intention of filing for EI benefits right now. This is a huge misconception. A lot of people think they only get this document if they ask for it, almost like asking for a favor from a former boss. Absolutely not. It is a mandatory, legal record of your employment history that your employer owes you upon separation. Whether you're immediately moving to a new job, taking a gap year, or retiring, that document must be generated. It protects your hard-earned hours in the system. Moving right along to Section 2, what triggers an ROE? The crucial concept here is understanding a piece of technical HR jargon, interruption of earnings. You see, an employer doesn't just issue an ROE whenever they feel like it or whenever they finally get around to it. No way. They are legally bound by specific, concrete events that cause an official interruption in your pay. Think of this as a legal tripwire. When this tripwire is crossed, the bureaucratic machine automatically springs into action, legally obligating your employer to document your earnings up to that exact point in time. So what crosses the tripwire? Well, the most common trigger is known as the 7-day rule. Simply put, if you go a full, consecutive calendar week without work and without pay, an interruption officially occurs. Imagine you're a seasonal worker and your contract wraps up. Or worse, you face a sudden layoff. If 7 days pass with 0 hours and $0 coming from that employer, the clock officially starts ticking for them to file this paperwork. They really don't have a choice. This rule ensures that employees aren't left in limbo, waiting indefinitely for shifts that might never come, while also being unable to claim the benefits they need to survive. But hey, what if you haven't stopped working entirely, but you're dealing with a severe personal crisis? Well, an ROE is also legally triggered if your regular weekly salary drops below a very specific threshold, exactly 60%. This is such a critical safety net feature because you don't always have to completely lose your job to need an ROE. The system recognizes that a massive sudden plunge in your income can be just as financially devastating as a complete layoff, and it provides a mechanism to help bridge that gap. So, if your earnings drop below that 60% mark due to vulnerable life events, the system steps in. And we aren't just talking about abstract numbers here. We're talking about real-life scenarios. Whether it's a physical injury keeping you off your feet, a mandatory quarantine, going on maternity leave, or having to step away from your shifts to care for a critically ill family member, if your pay takes a hit of more than 40% for any of these specific reasons, boom, an official interruption of earnings happens. Your employer is immediately triggered to generate your ROE, ensuring you can apply for the financial support you need while dealing with life's biggest challenges. All right, on to Section 3, decoding your insurable earnings. When you get your digital form, your eyes should dart straight to blocks 15A and 15B. These specific boxes contain your insurable hours and total insurable earnings, literally the exact metrics that dictate your EI fate. Service Canada uses the highly detailed data in these two blocks to calculate how much you've worked and earned leading up to your interruption of earnings. Honestly, it's not about how hard you worked or how much your boss liked you. It all comes down to the cold, hard math sitting right there in those specific blocks. Those numbers are what the government uses to decide your exact payout. Now, here is where one of the most common misunderstandings for new employees happens. It's the absolute panic moment. You look at your final gross earnings on your regular pay stub, then you look at Block 15B on your newly issued ROE, and the numbers are completely different. Your heart drops because you think your employer underreported your income, which would obviously lower your EI payments. But don't worry, there is a totally logical, mathematical reason for this discrepancy. It doesn't mean anyone made a mistake, it just means we need to understand how the government categorizes your money. The answer lies in understanding that Block 15B only cares about insurable earnings. In super simple terms, insurable earnings are the specific monies you actually paid EI premiums on during your employment. This includes your regular salary and wages, paid overtime, statutory holiday pay, and vacation pay, but it legally excludes non-taxable income. So, if your employer gave you a tax-free travel allowance to drive to a distant job site or a uniform allowance, that extra money boosts the gross pay on your pay stub, making you look richer, but it won't show up in Block 15B because no EI premiums were ever deducted from it. It's simply not insurable by Service Canada. And that perfectly explains why those two totals almost never match. Which brings us to Section 4, Viewing Your ROE Online. Here's a fact that actually shocks a lot of new hires entering the modern workforce. If your company uses a digital payroll system, you really shouldn't be sitting by the mailbox anxiously waiting for a paper ROE to arrive. We often imagine a physical piece of paper being handed to us as we walk out the door, but honestly, that's a relic of the past. If your employer submits these forms electronically directly to the government, they are legally not required to hand you a physical paper copy at all. In fact, waiting for the mail is one of the biggest reasons people delay applying for their benefits, entirely unaware that the document is already waiting for them in the cloud. Instead of awkwardly chasing down your former manager or calling HR repeatedly, you have the power to access your records instantly. The digital process is incredibly streamlined. Step 1, your employer hits submit on their payroll software, securely sending your data straight into Service Canada's database. Step 2, you simply log into your personal My Service Canada account from your laptop or phone. And Step 3, you view your exact reported hours, print a copy for your own personal files if you want one, and seamlessly apply for your benefits online. It puts you in total control of your own data without any middleman. It's a real game changer. So I'm going to leave you with this final, critical thought. Is your My Service Canada account set up and ready to go right now? Seriously, don't wait until you're in the middle of a stressful financial emergency to figure out your login details, wait for access codes in the mail, or navigate a new website. Go set it up today so you are completely prepared for whatever tomorrow brings. Understanding your record of employment means you are empowered. It means you are never left in the dark about your own hard-earned safety net. Because when you know your rights, you can protect your livelihood. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer and keep learning.